Mr. Speaker,
For what purpose does the gentleman rise?
I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 5 minutes.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks. Mr. Speaker, I want to talk tonight about an economic myth. There's a myth that's been around for a long time, and that is that war benefits an economy. The argument goes that when a country is at war, it will create jobs and create economic growth. This is a myth. During the time of World War II and following, they claimed that the Depression finally ended with the start of the Second World War. And this is not true either, because a lot of men were drafted and put into the military. Unemployment rates obviously went down, but there was no improvement in the economy. Economic growth and really the ending of the Depression didn't end until after World War II. So it's wrong to think there's an economic benefit coming from any kind of a war. There are a lot of shortcomings from a war. During wartime, it's much more common to have inflation. And the money presses are running, so we can expect inflation from the military buildup and the possible war that we're facing. Also, during wartime, there's a bigger challenge to the currency of that nation that's at war. And already we see that the dollar in the past year has been down 20%. Although there are many other reasons for a weak dollar, the war is contributing to the weakness in the dollar. Also, during wartime, a country can expect that taxes will go up. I know we're talking about cutting taxes, and I'm all for cutting the taxes, but in real terms, taxes will go up during wartime. And it's inevitable that deficits increase, and right now our deficits are exploding. Our national debt is going up nearly $500 billion per year at an annualized rate. The other shortcoming economically of wartime is that funds, once they are either borrowed, inflated, or taxed, once the government spends these, so much of this expenditure is done overseas, and it takes away from domestic spending. So this is a strong negative for the domestic economy. Another thing that arises during wartime so often is the sentiments for protectionism. And weak economies, difficulties with currencies in wartime will really build an incentive for protectionist measures. And we're starting to see that, which I think is a danger. During wartime, trade is much more difficult. And so if a war comes, we can expect that even our trade balances might get much worse. There are a lot of subjective problems during wartime, too. The first thing that goes is confidence, confidence in general. Right now, there's less confidence in the stock market, and literally hundreds of billions of dollars lost in the stock market in the last year or two. Again, due to other reasons, but the possibility of war contributes to this negative sentiment toward the stock market. It's hard to judge the future. Nobody can know the future because of the unintended consequences of war. We don't know how long the war will last, how much it will spread. So there's a lot of uncertainty about this. There's fear. Fear comes from the potential of war or during wartime, and a lot of confusion. And unfortunately, also, when wars are not fought for national security reasons, the popularity of the war is questioned, that this may alienate our allies. And I believe we're seeing some of that already. There's no doubt that during wartime, the government expands in size and scope. And this, of course, is a great danger. And after war, the government rarely shrinks to its original size. It grows. It may shrink a little, but inevitably the size of the government grows, and there's a tremendous incentive to increase the size and scope of government during wartime. This is a danger because when government gets bigger, the individual has to get smaller. Therefore, it diminishes personal individual liberty. So these are the costs that we can't ignore. We have the cost of the war, we have the cost of potential loss of life, but there is a tremendous economic cost that even the best economists couldn't calculate what this war may cost us. War should always be fought as the very, very last resort. It should never be done casually, and it should be done only when absolutely necessary. And when it is, I believe it should be fought to be won. It should be a declared war. It should be a war not fought under UN resolutions or for UN resolutions, but for the sovereignty and the safety and the security of this country. Under those conditions, it's explicit in our Constitution that only those wars that are fought in that manner should be declared by the Congress. And that is something that concerns me a whole lot, because we have not declared a war outright since 1945. And if you look carefully, we haven't won very many since then. And wars tend to linger. We are lingering in Korea. That is a mess over there. We've been there for 58 years, have spent hundreds of billions of dollars, and we're still messed up because we went in there under UN resolutions and we didn't fight to victory. Same way with Persian Gulf War I. We went in there without a declaration of war. We went under there under the UN, and we're still there. And who knows how long we'll be there. So there are a lot of costs, hidden costs, and some are overt. But the greatest threat and the greatest cost of a war is the threat to individual liberty. So I just caution my colleagues that we should move much more cautiously and hope and pray for peace. Thank you.
There you go.